Today, you will hear a true story, one that belongs to all of us. It is a story about our past, present, and future. This story begins when there was nothing and will end when there is nothing left. It encompasses everything from the skies to the earth and everything in between, the stars, planets, the sun, time, and all the creations we refer to as the universe. Today, we're starting a journey to explore this universe. Who created it? What secrets does it hold? And what about our small planet, which we call Earth? What has happened here, and what will happen in the future? Join us as we explore all of this. Our journey starts 14 billion years ago. But why 14 billion years? Have you ever seen the constellation of 7 stars in the night sky? My grandmother told me about it when I was a child. It's called Ursa Major, or in Arabic, the Dub Akbar. From the United States, this constellation is visible almost every night. If your eyes were as powerful as the most advanced telescope in the world, you would be able to see a tiny red blob above the central star. This is GN-Z11, the farthest known galaxy so far. Trillions of stars form this tiny red blob, and it is so far from us that the light, which is the fastest thing there is, takes 14 billion years to reach us. This makes one thing clear: in our journey, we can go this far at least, but 99.9985% of this 14 billion years is before the time of humans. Humans emerged only in the last few seconds of this cosmological timescale. So, how can we witness the birth of the universe? To see this, free yourself from the chains of time and come with me. We will explore all the knowledge that reveals the true story of creation. There is a common field of knowledge around us called science, and within science, there is a branch known as cosmogony, which is the branch of science that deals with the origin of the universe. This field led to a groundbreaking discovery in 1964. The find was so remarkable that its discoverers, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, were awarded the Nobel Prize. They discovered a type of radiation in space, but strangely, this radiation wasn't coming from any star, planet, or constellation. It seemed to be a radiation spread throughout the entire space of universe. Wherever they looked, they found this energy. It was as if a colossal explosion or expansion had created and dispersed it everywhere, like an echo from a great bang that happened billions of years ago. They named it the cosmic microwave background. Today, the world recognizes it as the Big Bang, the event that combined the sky, the earth, and everything in between into a single entity before it was separated by a tremendous force, which we now call the Big Bang. But this discovery also brought with it a significant problem known as the horizon problem. The issue arises because we observe this energy spread across vast distances, up to 46 billion light years in some areas, and just 0.3 million light years in other parts of the sky. This inconsistency suggests that light must be traveling at different speeds in different regions of the universe, which seems impossible and contradicts our understanding of physics. According to our current knowledge, light travels at a constant speed of approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. But we don't have any other explanation for this. If light were indeed traveling at different speeds in different regions, then time in those regions would also be passing differently. This realization highlights the limitations of science, which, despite its advancements, is still relatively young, only a few hundred years old. The knowledge of ancient civilizations, which existed thousands of years before the past few hundred years, is also crucial to explore. To do this, we need to travel back in time to the mid-19th century. In 1849, an archaeologist named Austin Henry Layard discovered a vast collection of clay tablets in the ruins of the ancient Assyrian city of Nineveh. These tablets, used for writing in the 7th century BC, were part of the library of Ashurbanipal. Among the estimated 20,000 to 30,000 tablets, Layard found texts written in Akkadian cuneiform, including the Enuma Elish, Babylonian creation myth. The Enuma Elish is composed of 7 tablets and dates back to approximately 1100 BCE, making it around 2,700 years old. This significant discovery shed light on the intellectual and literary heritage of ancient Mesopotamia, providing valuable insights into their beliefs, culture, and understanding of the world. They say when there was no sky or earth and when there were no trees or bogs. There was only one thing, and that is water. There were no humans and no destiny written. At that time, there was only an order from the gods. This is fascinating. If we study the entire text of 1,000 lines, we see that before anything was created, they speak of the presence of vast amounts of water. The text also describes an eternal garden and the creation of humans and their souls, which descended from the sky. One of the most interesting aspects of the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth found among the clay tablets in the library of Ashurbanipal, is a term from its Akkadian translation, Mamu, which refers to the primordial being who existed alongside the other primordial deities Apsu and Tiamat. The Enuma Elish describes how the god Marduk defeated Tiamat, the goddess of the ocean, and used her body to create the heavens and the earth, while the Sumerians, who lived around 4000 to 3000 BCE in Mesopotamia, had their own creation myths. The Enuma Elish is a Babylonian text that dates to around 1100 BCE. The Sumerians made numerous significant contributions to civilization, such as developing one of the earliest known writing systems, the sexagesimal number system, and the first known code of laws. Ancient Egyptian creation myths, such as the Heliopolitan creation story, describe the god Adam emerging from the primordial waters of Nun and creating the world. However, these myths are not directly related to the Enuma Elish, as ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia had distinct religious and cultural traditions. In Korean mythology, the tale of Dangun describes the creation of the world and the founding of Korea by Dangun Wangjeom, who is said to have descended from a heavenly prince and a bear woman. This myth reflects the themes of creation and the connection between the divine and the earthly. Manda mythology, found among the Manda-speaking peoples of West Africa, describes a creator god who emerges from the waters and creates the world, often emphasizing the role of water in the formation of life. Similarly, Yoruba mythology from Central Africa tells of the supreme deity Olodumare, who created the world and sent the Orisha Obatala to shape the earth from the waters, highlighting the significance of water in the act of creation. Myths of creation from primordial waters are found in many ancient cultures worldwide, from the Aboriginal Dreamtime in Australia to the Yoruba mythology of West Africa. The Cherokee tribe in America and the islands of Hawaii also speak of the creation of the skies and earth from water. Even in Europe, Finland's mythology tells of Wainamoinen, who created everything from water. You may have noticed that I'm referencing cultures thousands of miles apart and separated by thousands of years. However, there are problems in these mythologies. Some concepts are quite ridiculous. For example, in African culture, there is a concept of the earth being bound in golden chains after it was created. In Finnish mythology, a crow helps Wainamoinen create the universe. We know that the earth is not chained with any golden chain, and the creation of the universe was not the work of a crow. So, I filtered out these absurd elements and focused on the similarities among these cultures. I noticed that the common concept is remarkably consistent: a mighty force called God. This force was alone, with no one else besides him. He created everything from water, and it happened in 6 or 7 days. It seems that the same message was sent to all corners of the world. The messengers were different, and they came at different times, but the message and its sender were always the same. This suggests that there is a branch of knowledge besides science in which 85% of the planet's population believes. This knowledge is called religion. But which religion? That is a big question. There are 3,000 different religions in the world today, and all of them claim to be the right one. Let's take a look at some of the major religions and some of the oldest philosophies. Judaism is indeed one of the oldest religions. It says that the earth was created by God, but this earth is a flat earth floating on water. According to Judaism, there is paradise above the sky and hell beneath the earth. Christianity, the largest religion in the world today, teaches that God created the universe. According to the biblical account in Genesis, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day. In this creation narrative, Christians believe that God made the heavens, the earth, and all living beings, culminating in the creation of humanity. Some Christian interpretations hold that all of creation was completed approximately 6 to 10,000 years ago, emphasizing a belief in a young earth based on biblical genealogies. universe. This belief includes the idea that the Earth is the center of God's creation, with the sun and stars created to serve as lights in the sky. Greek philosophy, which is 2,500 years old, is still influential today. The Greeks believed in a divine creation of the universe, and they also believed that a goddess called Andromeda flew into the sky. Wherever she flew, her milk was spilled, creating a milky, starry path. We still refer to this path by the same name suggested by the Greeks. The Milky Way, derived from the Greek term Galaxias Kyklos, which means milky circle. This term reflects the ancient Greeks' interpretation of the bright band of stars in the night sky, which they associated with divine and cosmic significance. The Greeks contributed significantly to early cosmological thought, laying the groundwork for future philosophical and scientific inquiry into the nature of the universe. Then there are Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, all ancient religions that insist the universe has no beginning or end. They believe it has always existed and will always exist. But wait a moment and look back at these concepts. If Judaism is true, then why is there morning in America and evening in Japan at the same time? A flat Earth should have morning and evening in all countries simultaneously. Additionally, there are 4,550 satellites revolving around our Earth right now, which proves that it is not flat. If Christianity is true and everything happened just 6,000 or 7,000 years ago, then the light from GN-Z11 should not have reached us. It would have been impossible. It's even more confusing that the God who created all this in 6 or 7 days got tired. He is supposed to be almighty and all-powerful. Also, there are 50 different versions of the Holy Scripture of Christianity, called the Bible. Which version are we supposed to accept? Which version is the truthful one? And if the Greeks were right, then who spilled the milk on these other galaxies, which are actually collections of trillions and trillions of stars? If Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism are correct in saying that the universe was always there and will always be there, then why are galaxies drifting away from each other at such high speeds? Our Milky Way is traveling in space at 2.1 million km/h. Anything that is traveling in space has a beginning and an end. At this point, one can say that these religions too have their limitations. The message was the same at some point, but with time, a lot has changed in them. But I have yet to tell you about one particular religion, the only religion that claims there are no lies in it. About 1,400 years ago, a religion emerged in Arabia called Islam. Within only a few years, this religion spread throughout Arabia and eventually the whole world. Today, Islam is the second largest religion in the world. Islam also has a concept of creation in its holy book, the Quran. For example, in Surah Hud, a chapter in the Quran, it says that God is the one who created the skies and the earth in 6 days, and his throne was on the waters. It seems as if the message in the Quran was sent by the same being, but there is something that sets the Quran apart from other texts. A claim made in the very beginning of the Quran. It is a book in which there is no doubt. Now, that is a serious claim, and for people like us who want to discover the truth, we will test this claim to see if it is right or wrong. The good news is that the Quran is the only holy book with no other versions in the entire world. One book, one version, and one claim. Neither cosmogony nor any historical tablets, cultures, or other religions have made such a claim. We will also check the concepts of creation according to the man who introduced this religion, Muhammad bin Abdullah, as recorded in the collection of his sayings called Hadiths. Abu Razin reports that he asked Muhammad bin Abdullah, "Where was our God before the creation of everything?" He replied that God was neither in time nor space, and there was nothing above or below him. These resources seem sound and logical because they are realistic and contain the concept of time and space, as well as the concept of nothingness. Therefore, we must look further into these resources to see where they take us. To explore this further, our major sources will be two: the Holy Book of Islam, Al-Quran, and the person who lived in Arabia, the last messenger of all, the Prophet Muhammad bin Abdullah. A concept of creation in the Quran that is hard to challenge. Even we found that in its chapter of Al-Anbiya, which states, "Do the disbelievers not see that the earth and sky were together, and we separated them, and we created all living things from water?" This seems logical and truthful, because indeed when the sky and the earth separated, it must have happened with a mighty force of expansion, the same expansion that is still echoing today. This echo is what we know today as the cosmic microwave background. This expansion also explains the drifting away of all the galaxies from each other. It is basic to understand that if you reverse this drifting away of all the galaxies, you will eventually reach the point where all of this was closer together, unseparated. These are very interesting revelations, but we need more, so we will explore this book even further. It is mentioned in the Quran at least 5 times that the earth and sky were created in 6 days. Which days were those? Were they our usual 24-hour days? This was the very same problem with Christianity. Considering such a short time, it was impossible for us to see the light coming from Z11, and there is no explanation of those days or time in the Bible anyway. Do you remember the horizon problem I spoke about in the beginning, where it seems that time is different in different regions of the universe? I think science has made a mistake here. They should have named this a revelation instead of a problem, because the concept of time is very clear in the Quran, unlike in Christianity or the Bible. The chapters of Hajj and Ma'arij tell us very clearly about the changing properties of time. For example, in chapter Hajj, a day to your Lord equals your 1,000 years, and in chapter Ma'arij, the angels and the Spirit ascend towards him in a day, which equals your 50,000 years. Somewhere a day equals 1,000 years, and somewhere equals 50,000 years. It seems to be a pretty advanced book that speaks about the changing properties of time on such an advanced level, a level no other religion has ever reached. We can go even further in depth about the concept of creation in the Quran. The first verse of the chapter of Al-An'am is, "All praise is to Allah who created the skies and the earth and the darknesses and the light." This seems to be a wonderful verse because it tells us about more than one sky and also the creation of darkness. But how can darkness be created? Normally, the absence of light is called darkness, and then the word kalak is used for the creation of the skies and earth, while jal for the creation of darkness and light. Why so? But probably the most important question is, who is Allah, the creator of all this? One by one, we will look into all this, but first, let's address the mystery of darkness. In the 17th century, there lived a German astronomer named Heinrich Olbers, who raised a question known as Olbers' paradox. He said that if this universe is truly infinite and uniformly expanded, then everywhere we look in the night sky, our eyes should end up on a star, and the night sky should be much brighter than it is. But it is not. It is as if something is covering all this light. Something dark, something like night. It has been 300 years, and no one has given a satisfactory answer to Olbers' question. But for me, I feel that the answer lies in the chapter Shams, meaning sun, in the Quran, where it says, "I swear by the night when it draws a veil over it." This verse signifies the night's role in covering the sun, representing a time of reflection. It seems to be a very advanced book, and one desires to explore this book further to know the secrets of creation. So, the next stage is to understand the sky, because humanity's relationship with the sky is ancient and profound. We have been looking into the sky for centuries, and we even have names for those who admire the sky. For example, we call someone who likes the sky and its clouds a nephophile. A person who enjoys the sky and its roars is called a serenophile. Someone who loves the sky and its rain is named a pluviophile. An individual who is fond of the sky and its stars is known as an astrophile, and a person who adores the sky and its moon is called a selenophile. But the question remains, what exactly is the sky? Before we move forward, I would like to share interpretation of sky from common people living around us. You must have noticed that whenever you ask them, what is the sky in your opinion? Some will answer that the blue thing we see above is the sky. Another person will say that somewhere far above there must be a white shield, which could presumably be called the sky. Someone else will suggest that the clouds are probably the sky. To be honest, you will receive many interesting answers. So let's take a look at what science says about the sky. The blue thing we see is actually just the atmosphere, and it appears blue because when sunlight enters our atmosphere, which is made up of 7 colors, the blue color is scattered more than the others due to the gases present in the atmosphere. This scattering occurs because the wavelength of the blue color is shorter than all the other colors. In the evening, the blue disappears and red takes over because the sun is closer to the horizon. The atmosphere between us and the sun is denser by about 38% compared to the normal atmosphere during the day. This increased density causes the shorter wavelengths of light to scatter out of our line of sight, leaving the longer wavelengths, like red and orange, to dominate the sky. But how far far above is this atmosphere? Science answers this question. 6.5 miles above you, you will find the atmospheric layer called the troposphere. Almost all the Earth's climate exists in this layer. Clouds, rain, storms, and all life on Earth live inside this layer. Even the farthest looking clouds are actually within this layer. But what is above that? Above the troposphere, there is a 31-mile thick layer called the stratosphere. You have surely heard of the ozone layer, which protects the planet from the harmful rays of the sun. Some commercial flights fly in the lower regions of this layer, and some spy jets fly in the middle region. And what is above that? Above the stratosphere, there is a 53-mile thick layer called the mesosphere. Life is not possible for humans there because the temperature can drop to -90 degrees Celsius, and there is almost no air or oxygen. When meteorites enter this layer, they start burning up. I will tell you more about these mysterious stones in the upcoming video of this series. But what is above that? Above the mesosphere, there is another 300-mile thick layer called the thermosphere. This is where most of our satellites orbit the planet, and it is also where the most beautiful dark green lights are born, known as the aurora lights. The aurora lights are one of the most beautiful night shows on our planet, and most people's favorite light. But what is above them? Above the thermosphere, there is an imaginary boundary of our planet known as the Kármán line. Beyond this boundary, the vast expanses of empty space begin, stretching out trillions and trillions of miles into deep space. It is so far into space that the light from GN-Z11 takes about 14 billion years to reach us. But where was the sky during all this? What is above that? Science cannot provide answers beyond this point because these areas fall outside the current realms of scientific knowledge. What mysteries lie beyond? Where will we find the sky? How might the sky look? And what is above it? To explore these questions, we turn to our sources of knowledge, the Quran and Hadith. The Quran mentions the descent of water from the sky at least 22 times. However, since the watery clouds are only about 2 kilometers above us, we need to look for more clues about the sky in the Quran. At least 3 times, the Quran describes the sky as a safe roof, and at least twice it is mentioned that this safe roof is secured so that it does not fall. This suggests that the sky might be protecting us from something, and that it too has been secured from certain dangers. Could this mean that the sky refers to the ozone layer or another protective layer? Still, these clues might not be enough, so we must delve deeper into the Quran for a better understanding of the sky. The chapter of At-Tawriq describes the sky as having a recurring property, returning over and over again. Climatology, the study of climates, recognizes 4 seasons: winter, summer, autumn, and spring. But the climate actually consists of 12 types influenced directly by the atmosphere and sky, such as rain, fog, precipitation, snowfall, storms, and winds. These elements return to Earth repeatedly, influenced by the sky and the atmosphere. The Quran also mentions that the sun, the stars, and the moon are within the sky, and twice it speaks of the decorating stars being in the sky. Furthermore, it describes pillars in the sky. For example, the 16th verse of the chapter of Al-Hijr refers to beautiful pillars placed in the sky for those who can see. What exactly these pillars are, no one knows, but one of the most famous and beautiful image, taken in 1995, is called the Pillars of Creation, showcasing towering structures of gas and dust in space, admired for their beauty. Up till now, one thing must be clear, that the sky, according to the Quran, is a great expansion upwards. Besides the sun, moon, and stars, the Quran also refers to burning flames that chase and consume, mysterious stars that devour entire galaxies without leaving a trace, and stars with tails extending 6 million miles. These descriptions suggest that such phenomena are not limited to our Milky Way galaxy, as our galaxy contains about 400 billion stars, with our sun being just one of them. Our neighboring galaxy, named Andromeda, contains 2.5 times more stars than the Milky Way, and there are approximately 2 trillion galaxies like the Milky Way and Andromeda. Is it all within the sky? Where is the highest limit? Further research in the Quran reveals at least 4 references to the expansion and highest limits of the sky, 2 of which are clear. For example, the chapter of Al-Ghashiyah speaks of the sky being elevated, and the chapter of Al-Zoriyat states, "We have created the sky with our hands, and we are expanding it." These clues help build an understanding that the sky's expansion starts just above us and extends much higher. Is there a limit to this great expansion? Yes, there is a boundary mentioned in the chapters of Al-Naziat and Al-Rahman. The Quran questions, is the sky more difficult to create or you? God created it and elevated its samak, meaning outer boundary. Another verse challenges, O jinn and humans, if you have the authority to leave the boundaries of the sky and the earth, then leave. You cannot do so without power. Flames of fire and smoke will be released upon you, and you will not be able to protect yourselves. This suggests that beyond these immense expansions, there must be a place with a samak, or outer layer, where reaching it would result in flames and smoke. Perhaps this marks the boundary of the sky's expansion. The outer surface of the sky, its limit, starts just above us and extends upwards until its samak. This understanding explains why water descends from this sky and why the sun, moon, and stars are within it. The sky is indeed a vast expansion, starting just above us and extending trillions of miles upwards, with a boundary somewhere far above. Before we move deeper into these aspects, we want to share what we discovered during our research in the Quran on several topics. Observations about the design of the sky, 6 instances. Clues about creatures in the sky, 3 instances. References to risk descending from the sky, 3 instances. Doors and pathways of the sky, 6 instances. Emotions of the sky, 2 instances. Jinn and shayateen traveling in the sky, 3 instances. Places that ascend and descend in the sky, 3 instances. The destiny of the sky, 16 instances. God swearing upon the sky, 5 instances. When the time comes, I will share insights on these topics, including the creatures in the sky, the things that ascend and descend, the doorways and pathways, and what will ultimately happen to the sky. We also discovered that the Quran mentions number of skies 7 times, and that number is also 7, which has been explored further in Jalal al-Din 14th century book, The Life of Death. This book provides a detailed description of the 7 skies. Thus, reaching through science alone would have been impossible. Through the Quran and Hadith, we gain insights into the composition of the skies. The last boundary of mankind's reach, the Karman line, marks the beginning of the sky, with the first sky being the sky of the earth. The sky, as described in the Quran and Hadith, is indeed a profound and expansive concept. One of the crucial elements is that it is made out of water and is referred to as rakia, or the firmament. This water might be why, according to chapter Al-Rahman, anyone daring to breach it would face flames and smoke as a deterrent. The Hadith of Al-Miraj mentions that this first sky is where Adam and Eve reside. Additionally, according to some sayings in Islam, describe it as the place where Prophet Muhammad saw an angel named Hadid, who was part fire and part ice. An intriguing account involves Roman Emperor Heraclius, who wrote letter to Hazrat Muawiyah requesting answers to questions based on the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. Muawiyah forwarded this letter to Hazrat Ibn Abbas for a better response. One question concerned Mujara, which Ibn Abbas described as a kind of barrier or door in the sky, preventing anything from passing through it, including heat or temperature. There also another script suggests that the first sky might be composed of a unique living water with such characteristics. The sky is depicted in various layers, each with distinct properties. First sky, made of living water and featuring barriers that prevent the passage of heat. This is where Prophet Adam and Eve reside, and where the angel Hadid was seen. Second sky, described as being made of white pearls. According to Hadith, Prophet Isa, Jesus, and Prophet Yahya, John the Baptist, live here. Third sky, composed of pure iron. This is the abode of Prophet Yusuf, Joseph, and, according to some traditions, the angel of death, Hazrat Israel. Fourth sky, made of pure brass. Prophet Idris, Enoch, resides here along with the angel Israel, the angel of tears. Fifth sky, composed of pure silver. Prophet Harun, Aaron, lives here, and it is also where Malik, the custodian of hell, resides. Malik commands some mysterious angels referred to as Zabaniya in Surah Al-Alaq, but we will discuss more about angels in our upcoming chapters. Let me know in the comment section if you are interested to know about them. Sixth sky, made of pure gold and red rubies. Prophet Musa, Moses, lives here. The Surah An-Najm speaks of a great tree called the Lot tree of the farthest boundary, whose roots are in this sky and branches extend to the seventh sky. This tree's leaves are large and its fruits are described as large pots. Beetles made of pure pure gold fly around this tree, which Muhammad bin Abdullah described as having colors that defy human description. Seventh sky, also known as Araboth in the traditions of the people of the book. This sky, where Prophet Abraham resides, is made of a light beyond human comprehension. The branches of the low tree reach up to this sky, with everything coming from below being stopped here, and everything coming from above being received from here. From this point forward, we will be very cautious, and I request your utmost attention, because above the seventh sky is the throne of God, known as the Arsh, which is carried by 8 mighty angels. This throne is made of red ruby. Above the throne is the great chair, which represents the utmost boundary of human knowledge and understanding. Beyond this, there is Allah, the Lord of the throne, our Creator and the Creator of everything. Listening about what lies beyond the throne fills everyone with a profound sense of reverence and awe. To the right side of the throne is a place where everything is recorded, known as the Lawh Mahfuz, or the preserved tablet. This tablet is made of pure white pearls, with its pages crafted from red rubies and its writing inscribed in light. It holds all knowledge about everything that has ever existed and everything that will ever be. God wills and writes in it everything that occurs. The base of the tablet is made of pure white stone, and it is held in the lap of an angel. Allah, the Lord of everything, observes this tablet 360 times a day. Prophet Muhammad has described the vastness of creation. The 7 skies compared to the throne are like a ring in a vast desert, and the throne compared to the great chair is similarly insignificant. Pause for a moment and reflect on what has been described. Can our minds truly grasp the extent of such grandeur? Can we fully comprehend the magnitude of these realities? Perhaps not. It may never be within the capacity of any creation to completely understand these divine expanses. Earlier, I mentioned that nearly all cultures speak of a powerful force creating everything with words. Yet no culture could specify what those words were. Theoretical physics proposes that before creation, many universes floated among various forces, such as gravity. Every few trillion years, these universes might collide, resulting in a massive event known as the Big Bang. This collision could be due to an unimaginably powerful force or an unknown force entirely. Interestingly, in the Quran, we found a reference to an unimaginably mighty force mentioned at least 7 times. Kun fayakun, meaning be, and it is. This force, the command of God, is the ultimate and most powerful force that ever existed. The universe and its mysteries have always been among humanity's greatest questions. Imran bin Hussein once visited the Prophet Muhammad and tied his camel at the door. During this visit, some people from Yemen asked the Prophet about the creation of the universe. The Prophet began explaining that Allah was always present, alone, with his throne above the water. He had written everything in the Lawh Mahfuz, preserved tablet, and created the heavens and the earth. However, during this moment, someone called out to Imran that his camel had broken loose and was running away. Imran ran after his camel, and upon catching it, he lamented, saying, "I wish I had let the camel go and stayed to hear what the Prophet was saying." It's a sentiment we share. We wish he had stayed and heard more of the Prophet's teachings that day, and we also be able to listen what Prophet had uncovered the knowledge that day. Similarly, Prophet Muhammad reported about Prophet Moses' encounter with a mysterious figure. Musa's impatience prevented him from learning more from this figure. The Prophet Muhammad said, "May Allah have mercy upon Musa. If he had been patient, he would have learned even more." Reflecting on these accounts, it's clear that many secrets and mysteries about creation and the divine are beyond our complete understanding, but they are cherished and revered as part of our spiritual journey. That sounds like a fascinating journey ahead. Exploring the intersections of religious texts, historical accounts, and modern science can yield profound insights. If you ever need assistance or have more questions as you continue your exploration, feel free to reach out. May this journey be enlightening and rewarding for us.